How's everybody doing on this Sunday? Check, okay. Check me. Sound coming through. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Monday's close, but it is what it is. You know how we do it. Just put any cybersecurity questions in the chat box and we'll get to them. So let me share my screen. That's the thumbnail. So usually we just go over the videos I did this week. So let's do that. What's up, Erica? How are you doing? Just go over a few videos I did this week and let everybody fall in. Once again, if you got any questions, just put them in the chat and we get to them. What's up before the billions? Glad you could make it. I'm still tired from that other stream we did that I did for 3 hours, man. I don't know how you be doing them extra long streams, man. So let me, like I said, just go over the few videos I did this week. This is the one we were I did all night. I gotta stop doing that. But yeah, it was good. I was just talking about STEM and the difference between colleges, kind of for scholars, and so I think we still need a group of people to do that. So that was a good thing. Shout out to Before the Billions. We got off onto government contracts, government contracting with Tam. Tam came up, Gabe came up. There's a lot of knowledge being dropped on contracting. I wish I would have known when I was younger. I got taken advantage of. So that was actually a great stream. I have a Python quiz to be completed by 6. Can you do it for me? My Python skills are weak. You don't want me doing that for you, Erica. My Python skills aren't the best. So I thought that was killing it. You just did a 4-hour one. I didn't see it come up on my notifications, BDB. I probably would have joined you. What's up, casual economist? Glad you could join. But yeah, go check that out. Like I said, we just start talking about colleges and searched, and we kind of really rolled into a very long. Shout out to BDB. It was a great talking about government contracts and different types and how you sign them up and who you can pull up. Then we start talking about rates and getting your piece of that. Then like I said, I'm a consultant. I work for a small consulting agency, but they give me a 401k. I get tuition reimbursement. So it's different, a lot of different levels to that. Like I said, that was a great conversation. What's up, Miss Nash? So yeah, so that was good. Like I said, that was long. We did DevOps last week, so just talking about pipeline and securing the pipeline, because really it's a cybersecurity channel, but as a cybersecurity practitioner, I need to understand a lot of things at a high level so I can talk to the people to make sure, the security I'm recommending or the security they're telling me I understand, right? So that's why I'm kind of on my AWS kick. Then everybody knows Ukraine is just, Russia's just beating Ukraine about the chess in cyberspace. If you don't realize that Russia just shutting down Ukraine from a country standpoint. They shut down the banks. They're attacking their electric grid. So they're just been giving them the business from a cybersecurity perspective. So I've been doing a couple videos on that. I probably do one a week on Ukraine, right? So they're hot. So the thing is, if we jump in, so it's going to be interesting. If we try to get in there, is Russia going to shut down some of our stuff? So that's going to be probably the next debate about that and see what that actually looks like. So once again, if you got any particular questions, just throw them in the chat and we'll definitely get through them. So at the top, this is actually remote CloudWAN for AWS connecting to remote offices at the bottom. Your voice acting, David. I'm glad for you. Congratulations, B2B. So we're going to talk about how to look at this from a cybersecurity perspective, the different pieces of this, right? Because when you're a global company or a very large company, right, you got your different branches, your different offices. I worked for a couple Fortune 500 companies that's had these around the world, right? Then you use client VPN, SD-WAN, it's software defined networking, a network gateway. So how do you get your local office and your local branches spread around the world up into AWS efficiently, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Once again, I work with large clients, Fortune 500 clients. So we're going to just touch on this, right? Like I said, so I can understand it from a cybersecurity perspective, at least at a decent level, right? So, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Once again, what's up, Titanium? So once again, I work for the Department of Defense. They have stuff spread around the world. I actually work for Lilly, which is a Fortune 500 company. I actually work Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company. I worked for Eli Lilly. I worked for Cisco, which was a Fortune 500 insurance company, right? So they had branches around the United States, and Lilly had branches around the world, right? So when you talk about from a cybersecurity perspective, that's going to look right now. Two is I'm going to touch a little bit on some Cisco routers getting in there because the SD-WAN is software defined. Of course, Cisco is the 800-pound gorilla in that market. So we got to show Cisco a little love about that. So once again, you know how we do it. Just throw the questions in the chat, and if I don't know them, I can go get them. Like I said, I got some Cisco guys I know. Shout out to Network, bruh. So I should have invited him. So let's get into what we're talking about is remote connections. Amazon just preview some called the CloudWAN and makes it a little easier. Then we'll talk about different ways to connect to that. What's up, Wealth Talk Production? Salute, glad you can join us. Breaking down the WAN and the VPNs going into AWS from a global company, right? So this is it at the top, and then we go ahead and get started. So, right, something complex. You got different regions, different workloads. You got some on the East Coast, some on the West Coast. How could you communicate between those two regions? In AWS, they got some called Direct Connect, Internet Gateway. There's a number of ways to do it, right? So software WAN, client VPs, client VPN. So once again, we're gonna dive in each one of those and just kind of touch it at a high level from a cybersecurity perspective. So people start talking about that stuff, we at least have a high level understanding of it, right? So AWS has a virtual private network solution to secure connections between your on-premise network. We just saw that in the diagram. Remote offices, client devices, and the AWS global network. The AWS VPN is comprised of two services, site-to-site VPN and AWS client VPN. Each service provides high availability, managed elastic cloud VPN, and a solution to protect your network traffic. Right. So most people, especially if you're in IT or even if you're regular, right, when you go in a coffee shop or Starbucks, right, they say click on that company VPN, right? So if somebody's in Starbucks, they can't listen to or intercept your packages. Right. Then the other part of that is AWS site-to-site VPN creates an encrypted tunnel between your network and your Amazon VPC or your Amazon Transit Gateway. For managing remote access, AWS VPN connects to your users' AWS or on-prem resources using a VPN software client. All right. So that's what I said is normal. Most big corporations use it. I'm sure B2B be clicking on his VPN when he's working, making that accredited investor money. He got to get on his VPN from work, right? So we're going to dive into the client VPN, right? We have a little diagram. That's kind of the base level and work our way up to the different forms of VPN connections in AWS. So AWS Client VPN is fully managing a remote solution used by your remote workforce to securely access resources within your both AWS and your on-prem. It's fully elastic, automatically scales up or down depending on bandwidth. When migrating applications to AWS, your user access them the same way before. During and after the move, the AWS Client VPN, including the software client, supports the Open VPN protocol, advanced authentication. Many organizations require MFA, multi-factor authentication, and federated authentication to the VPN solution. AWS VPN Client supports these and other authentication methods, right? So once again, I always give my man B2B, go join him, this your client, you're at home, right? Everybody's remote. Well, not everybody, but most of the country was remote for a while. So you were doing these VPN clients to get in. I know we were scrambling. We had to get more VPN ports, right? Because where I work, I think it's 40,000 individuals, and I think they had about 5,000 VPN ports because most people didn't work from home, or if you were sick, or if you were doing some stuff at night. But when 40,000 people were home, right, you almost have to have 40,000 VPN ports, right? So they had to buy a whole bunch more hardware, stack them up, and get them ready, get those onboarded and in the inventory. But so from the first picture, you really work from home, you VPN, or you're in a coffee shop, it gets you inside AWS. There's a client VPN interface, right? Because remember, there's a public VPN and a private VPN. So I would use my client VPN on my private subnet, right? Meaning you got to have username, password. I got to have you in a VPN subgroup. I'm probably going to have you MFA into that. So I'm going to put you into a certain part of the company's VPN network, aka I keep using before the billions. He might need to do his work, so he would VPN into the server or on the web server. I know he's doing a lot of SQL statements, so he would have to get to the database, right? Because now that's a little DevOps, right? VPN B2B is going to need a higher level access, right? Because he's going to be doing direct queries to the database, right? So how do I set that up? How do I put him in a certain subnet so he can do that, right? Without opening up too many privileges to B2B, right? I got to give him least privileges, right? So if you admin are doing programming, right? Once again, you're going to do your VPN. I'm going to put you in the subnet, and in that subnet, I'm going to give you access to, these EC2s, these databases. I'm going to give you certain ports because if you need to do RDP, because we're doing Windows, or you need to do Microsoft database, they're open to a certain ports, right? So that's something that's going to give you access to that, right? And we're going to use the AWS VPN client, right? They give you the best price, and so that's it. And the other one too is I can give you VPN access once again to a subnet, and I could have two VPCs. One could be for production, and one could be for development. They can talk to each other. So when you get into that VPN subnet for VPC-A, then when you go use VPC peering, or there's some other technologies, we're going to talk about the AWS CloudWAN, or to get to the other VPC. All right, there could be a internet gateway right there. There could be direct connect. There's a couple ways to get to a VPC, but once again, use the client VPN to get into the VPC, get you on a certain subnets, give you those privileges. Then with that, what access do we give you on the VPC-B? Right, and that's pretty much standard. Like I said, I'm sure everybody's using VPN connection to get to work and do some work, right? So that will be the setup for AWS. And once again, from a security practitioner standpoint, that's what we want. All that's encrypted, TLS 1.0, all of it's logged, right? If somebody comes in from a funny IP address that's outside of the United States, I could log it, I could block it, or I could track it and monitor it, right? So once again, if you Google that in AWS, they got the AWS Client VPN. You configure the client VPN endpoint. You associate it with a subnets to the client VPN endpoint. Enables end users to access resources by adding authorization rules. Enable connectivity to other networks and adding rules and routes. Download and install the VPN client for free for to your user devices. Users in their corporate login credentials to connect to the AWS network over the AWS Client VPN, right? So now you don't have to have client software. AWS has it for you. It's dirt cheap. Once again, it's super secure, and it works with their single sign-on. A lot of their restrictions are built in, label you to do that. So once again, VPN is super common and super necessary. So, and the other one, part of that is AWS site-to-site VPN for a fully managed service that creates secure connection between your data center and branch office. Your AWS resources use an IP security, IPsec tunnels. With using site-to-site VPN, you can connect to both the AWS Virtual Cloud as well as the AWS Transit Gateway, and the 2 tunnels per connection are used to increase your redundancy. For a globally distributed application, right? We're talking about doing stuff around the world, right? We're talking about Fortune 500 companies. For a globally distributed application, the accelerated site-to-site VPN option provides even greater performance by working with AWS Cloud Accelerator to intelligently route your traffic to the nearest AWS endpoint with the best performance. Once again, it's secure. The AWS site-to-site VPN can connect to the Amazon VPC or the AWS Transit Gateway the same way you connect to on your own prem. AWS site-to-site VPN establishes secure private sessions using an IPsec tunnel. Right, an IPsec tunnel could either be Windows or Linux. All right, so that's kind of what we're talking about, high-level corporate connection. Right, because a lot of times too is you're going to hook your data center to the VPC, and people on prem are going to go through that tunnel, right? Because from them it's just going to look like an extension of their network. So that's why you do a tunnel versus doing a client, because you want to get more on-prem resources to connect to the AWS region you want to. So that's it. You're on-prem, like we talked about. You're in Los Angeles, Cali, New York. So when you go on those on-prem, there's a VPN connection, a VPN tunnel, so that you can get to the AWS resources just like they were on your company network. Quite common. Once again, that's that site-to-site tunnel. Right. The other one was individuals getting into the tunnel. Now we're talking about making your AWS VPC looks like you really on your corporate network. Right. So 2 is when you go in there, and we'll talk about that. You take your Active Directory and sync it up to AWS. Right. So when you log on prem, you automatically get that single sign-on and your users up into AWS, making it look like one network. So 2 is we always want to use the VPN tunnel for security. The other part of this is, once again, there were so many people that went home. Sending everything through the tunnel made you have to have that many ports for how many active people you had on, right? So if you had 40,000 people, you would need a ton more VPN ports to do that. But there's some called split tunneling. It's a little less secure, but enables you to spread your traffic around. So what is split tunneling? Split tunneling is route some of your data through an encrypted VPN tunnel while allowing other applications and data direct access to the internet. It's mostly relevant for most access types VPNs, probably like your work from home setup where your computer is connected directly to your remote network at your office. When you use the term remote access here to distinguish between these type of connections, site-to-site VPN, where their network devices connected directly to each other. There's different types of split tunneling, right? Beside the standard method explained to above, there are 3 general variants when you're talking about split tunneling. Inverse split tunneling is a normal situation where only specified data is routed through your VPN, like your data bound for sensitive internal destinations. With the inverse tunneling, it's the exact opposite, where all data is sent through the tunnel except specific sources like web browsers you identify to be routed directly to the internet. So if you go on to certain websites that you don't deem to be secure with the split tunneling, you can have those not go through your tunnel, right, which is going to reduce your traffic, which will go directly to that particular website. Right, and that website could be low level, or it could be some you deem that a SaaS service that you deem is low level. So the dynamic split tunneling, while traditional split tunneling relies on ACL to decide traffic that's included or not in the tunnel, dynamic split tunneling enhances that using a DNS protocol to decide what traffic protocols and domains are included or not. Right. So once again, your DNS relates your IP to your URL. So which URLs do you want to stay in the tunnel? Which URLs do you deem you don't have to be super secure? Right. If you're looking at some company manuals, you don't want to go that to the split tunnel because every time you're in a split tunnel, you're on a port, right? And that port's not available to somebody else. Right. So if you got 40,000 people working from home, you probably don't want everything to go to the split tunnel. You want to split up to only your important things go to split tunnel. So instead of needing 4,000 ports, you might cut that in half, right? Because a lot of people do a lot of work that's not sensitive. And the last one is dual stack networking, unintended split tunneling, less than an option, more of a situation to be aware of. If you're running a VPN and able to access both IPv4 and IPv6 address from your connection, it's common that your IPv6 data could be going out unencrypted. Make sure your VPN supports both, right? Because a lot of VPN tunnel were made old, so make sure they support that IPv6. Right, so we talked about the regular VPN tunnel, then we talked about split tunneling at a high level. Once again, I worked at a big organization, and we were struggling to get them VPN ports put in because nobody expect half of the United States to start working from home consistently. Even though we talked about it consistently, we really wasn't doing it consistently. So. That's kind of picture how split tunnel will work. Like when you go in, your browser will say, "Oh, we don't have the token for that," or it hadn't been authenticated. You go up there to the termination port, it sends you back to there. Then the second time you come in, it says, "Oh, you've been authenticated, and we don't think that is sensitive information, so we're going to send you directly to the ultimate destination without going through the VPN termination port in the company." Right. So once again, you don't need as many ports. So that's something from a cybersecurity scenario is, do you want to support split tunneling? What is it? We talked about the three types, and this is stuff in the green, sensitive information where you wouldn't want it to go through the termination port. Because when you go around your VPN port, that's your company security, right? So you're probably not going through intrusion detection, intrusion prevention. You're probably not logging it the same, right? Because you're going around your corporate firewall. So you have to be very intentional of what you're going to send through the untunneled path, right? But once again, availability is one of the tenets of security. So we can't send everybody if we don't have enough ports and shut it down, right? So that way we have to make a decision of availability because the company doesn't have enough to support that. Right? Once again, throw the chat, any information in the chat box. I see people are chatting in the chat, which I like. AWS CloudWAN, that's AWS's new services, actually in preview, provides a central dashboard for making connections between your branch office, your data center, your VPCs in just a few clicks. With the CloudWAN, you can use network policies to automate network management and security tasks in one location. The CloudWAN generates a complete view of your on-premise and your AWS networks to help you monitor your network health, security, and performance. Right now, I think people do that using Cisco router, right? Because Cisco, that's what they made their living on, right? So Amazon's trying to give you features to help you do that and hopefully save you money, right? And we'll see how they used to do that in the past and what it looks like now, right? So the centralized management console, when using CloudWAN, you define access controls, traffic routing, and central network policies. When you update a policy, the CloudWAN uses two-steps process to ensure the accidental errors do not affect your global network. First, you review and validate your changes with work as expected in production. Once the changes are approved, the CloudWAN handles the configuration details for the entire network. You can change your policy documents using the AWS console or the CloudWAN APIs. We're going to look at that at a bigger process. What does that look like for really a nation company, and two, once if you're a Fortune 500 global company, what does that look like? So network segmentation, you can use policies of CloudWAN to easily segment your network traffic regardless of how many regions or on-premise locations you add to your network. For example, you can easily isolate your traffic from a retail payment process from other traffic on your corporate network while still giving both segments shared corporate resources. This makes it easy to ensure consistent security policies when collecting a large number of locations in VPC, especially when your policies need to apply to a large group within a unique security and wiring requirements. CloudWAN maintains a consistent configuration across AWS regions. Because what's up, brother Michael? Going over networking a little bit with CloudWAN, talking about a national setup of what that will look like. So this is the AWS setup. So the CloudWAN, you can use Amazon VPC, Amazon Direct Connect. We just talked about AWS site-to-site, and SD-WAN is software-defined networks. That would be Cisco, Juniper. There's a ton of them. Cisco, once again, is the 800-pound gorilla. Because remember, when you're talking about local offices and remote offices and even your home offices, right? Those are remote locations that you got to figure out how you're going to connect to your AWS VPC, which is there, and also your own prim, right? So you got to get the CloudWAN, build, manage, and monitor global wide area, central dashboards, network policies is what you set up, right? And two is when you set up, and everybody knows I do federal work. There's federal compliance of what things can talk to. Like here, and we're gonna see a diagram. It might be the next diagram where you got Europe, which is GDPR, and the United States. So if you got a VPC in each one of those regions, there's different privacy laws that apply to those. So that's one reason you have to figure out how you're gonna configure this, right, to make that work. Right. So in the old way, this is how you would set it up. You have multiple VPCs. In the green is our client VPN. That's usually you working from home. The other VPN is site to site. We talked about that. Right below that, I think is their picture SD-WAN. We got these remote offices, branch offices, data centers, right? So you got to connect all that up for people in your organization to get to different resources and where you have them, right? So the other way up here is AWS region. You got VPC peering. You use an SD-WAN, cloud, client VPN. I think that's that picture right there, right? So all connecting up to your VPN, to your different VPCs, and you're getting around, right? But that gets a little messy from a network perspective, right? Because you're setting up regions and peering, so you got a lot of things going on and a lot of stuff that could fail, right? So that stuff could be misconfigured. It's the same kind of picture. Welcome, Boyles. Glad you can make it. So once again, you got your branch office. You got your people down here that's just going through regular VPN. Right? You got branch offices in different states. You got your WAN, which is set up mostly, like I said, 800-pound gorilla Cisco WAN. You setting your branches up, then you connecting that WAN to Amazon, right? So once again, you try to get out your segments, your people can communicate, right? Because when they own the corporate network, they want it to look like one network. They don't want to be logging into different branches and different data centers, right? They just want to click with federated, which means single sign-on security, and go where they need to go, right? So now we got 3 different AWS regions. We got peering on, right? So you got to figure out where to move and how to set it all up. So dynamic traffic, users everywhere, apps in the cloud, manage changes, go global in seconds. So that is the new design. That's should be better. That's the CloudWAN, right? So I don't have peering in all those, right? I just get on the CloudWAN backbone, right, and get to work, right? So that's the new configuration, the new setup. They believe is going to be better. I appreciate it, Peter. Glad you could join me. Just talking about a wired area network from Good Afternoon, NC Work. Some new stuff AWS set up. trying to take a little bit of Cisco stuff. So let's look at that. Let's see. So if you see right here, you have, I'm calling it the CloudWAN plane. Remember going back, see all those connections from the VPC peering, and that's got to be configured to that. That's got to be configured to that, right? So that's 3 connections. Now we just got them all on the CloudWAN, right? Create connectivity across AWS regions, manage dynamic routing. You can do built-in automation. And in that CloudWAN, you can see you can attach your VPCs. We talked about each individual VPNs, site-to-site or VPN client, software-defined WANs, right? That's your Cisco connecting to your DX ports, and of course you got firewalls in there to really control that traffic. But much better setup, much easier setup, and from a cybersecurity perspective, right? We don't have all these different connections to VPC, right? We just need to focus on controlling our traffic in the VPC and on the CloudWAN, right? So we took the whole VPC peering out. It's a much cleaner setup, and I think, and 2 is the hidden benefit is when you have software-defined networks, you were going directly to each VPC through that software. Now with that CloudWAN, my VPCs are actually talking on AWS's backbone, right? I'm sure they're going to charge you a little money, but originally you had to set those up with you were going through the internet or you were going through the telcos and doing direct connects and setting up your own network through the telcos. Now the CloudWAN is doing that for you, right? And it helps you set that up. What's up, John? I'm starting my cybersecurity change, and your videos are helping me. But thanks. I have some cybersecurity introduction videos for Security Plus. There's a playlist out there. I'm probably sure you've seen the playlist, but there's a playlist out there with the Security Plus videos out there. If you want to check that out, and 2, check out my man Master IT and Tech G. They also have some great videos out there for you, John. I want to make sure you get the most information you can get. So check out my man Master IT, and also check out Tech G. They have great cybersecurity videos also, and both of those actually gives you test questions and stuff. Master IT charges you a little bit. Tech G's free. Then he also has some inexpensive notes, and you can teach. So I kind of do it as a lecture. Those kind of guys got a whole kind of platform set up. So I'm thinking about setting up a e-learning platform, but check those out. Tech G and my man Master IT. And 2, check out my playlist on there. So I'll make sure you get started good. And then 2 is you drop any questions in the chat if you need any additional information. So once again, we talk about AWS from a cybersecurity perspective. The thing we worry about is networking. You got to control your traffic. Who sees it? Where is it at? Because the bank, they had their database open up to the internet, right? Because it wasn't configured properly. So the bad guy came right up on the internet, stole their database, right? So you want to make sure we can control traffic, monitor the traffic, directing it. All right, and each one of these color boxes, right? Software-defined WAN, client VPN, site-to-site VPN in the blue. Client VPN and DX is direct connect. So those data centers, I can direct connect to those data centers. Why would I want to do that? A lot more efficient, a lot more speedier, but once again, more connections I have to worry about, stuff I have to check. And if I set it up wrong, right, I could be opening up my data center to cyber attack. So putting it on a CloudWAN backbone that uses AWS backbone, once again, makes that cleaner and easier to use. So that's what we're talking about. Because once again, I do cybersecurity reviews and analysts, and I talk to our Cisco guys and our Juniper guys, right? So I got to have an understanding at a high level of what we're talking about, so I can talk about security and how we locked it down, and if we can't do something, what are mitigating controls or something else we could put in place that could secure that Amazon VPC, right? So, and once again, in that cloud routing, this VPC routing, that's what we're looking at. So we're routing everything through the VPC, through the CloudWAN. And we can say that the green traffic is production and the red traffic is develop. Yeah, red traffic is production. Green traffic is development. See how it's connecting. So depending on if you were coming from development, I wouldn't let you get into a production VPC. Why? I don't want to mix development with production, right? My man, B2B special, he's DevOps, so he probably could do both. But if I had a pure developer, I wouldn't let him in production, right? That's a security violation, right? So that's why we're talking about controlling your routing traffic. The use case looks like a large flat global network. We know we can segment it with global firewalls in the VPC and directly on the CloudWAN, and that would be the main security part of that. And two is since it's flat, we can do advanced automation, right? We can build stuff, build VPCs, build database because we can easily get to the VPC we need. So if we need to spin up some EC2, some Apache, some IS, whatever we need to do with automation, we can look at the VPC and have the automation build that, right? That's really where you want to be at to make it easier, right? All automation. So if we just talk about the routing perspective of it, right? So once again, we were talking about they got the firewalls in the VPC, got the cloud WAN, and depending on what technology you can do is what technology you're going to let on your cloud WAN. Like that's the SD-WAN traffic. Then there's VPN traffic, then client VPN traffic. And once again, we can set our restrictions and our security up with those traffic vectors and what can see what and what can get to what, right? And two is in large companies, if you're doing HIPAA, FISMA for DOD, FERPA for education, GXP for pharmaceuticals, they tell you what environments can talk to environments. They tell you what traffic needs to be encrypted. So we will build all that in our cloud WAN for depending on what privacy or what compliance we would try to get installed in our AWS, right? What's up, B? What's up, BLLC? Peace, man. So what's the difference? In the old days, we would set up a transit gateway, full configuration. It's a do-it-yourself automation, registered to a global network, multicast, use your existing automation. But you were managing your customers' control regionally, right? When you're a national company or international company, you want the core network, right? That's the WAN, similar to a transit gateway, but support connect attachments. Limits are similar, supports the gateway, but you're managing an AWS control globally, right? You're not worried about each individual VPC. You're treating those VPC like one network. And that's really what you want to do as a global resource. You want to control it like it's a global network. So talk a little bit about how Cisco does it, because that's the 800-pound gorilla and everybody's taking those CCNA. So originally you should use the Meraki vMX, right? It's like your EC2 instance. Once again, when we looked at the VPC for the client, we had our Elastic Network interface going through your transit gateway. So you would go through there, connect your Cisco right to your VPC route tables, and it was kind of acting like the AWS Global WAN, much more expensive, many more products, right? But that's how you did it in the past, right? Then there's at the top, you got your branch office, then you got your Cisco Meraki, you got an auto VPN, so you could move it like it was one large VPC network, like what we just looked at here. So that's how you used to do it inside. So your Cisco Meraki was making it look like that, right? Much more expensive, much more routers, much more technology, right? So the Meraki SD-WAN to the AWS Transit Gateway. The vMX integration was with the AWS Transit Gateway. It let customers extend their SD-WAN fabric to AWS workload using AWS Quickstarts. We just saw that with the CloudWAN. The architect consists of SD-WAN VPC and two vMX deployed in different availability zones. In addition, the Transit Gateway deployed to extended connectivity to your workloads to different regions. The Meraki dashboard, like the CloudWAN, gives you a visibility and able to configure the hub to branch sites statistically advertise all the subnets. That's what we were talking about with the AWS WAN. You had one dashboard that looked at your overall global network. So before you had AWS Global WAN, you would do that with your Cisco Meraki technology. Finally, AWS Lambda function is used to monitor the state of the instance and update the SD-WAN and transfer route tables for auto VP routes that appropriate the vMX as the next hop, right? So once again, this is the Cisco portion of that. They had North America going through the software-defined WAN in the US, software-defined in the UK, software-defined in Australia. But if you look, once again, they had all those different connections in the VPC that you would have to keep track of and manage and put security on, right? So that's the different part of it. But with the new CloudWAN, you can dynamically route global networks to the AWS cloud instead of having to manage peer connections between different AWS gateways. That's what we were looking at the top. The CloudWAN core network, you had core network edges, 2 segments, and 1 SD-WAN overlap. Core network topologies, which defines the global network. The SD-WAN VPC and workloads VPC are connected to the core network. So that's a picture of this. All right. So remember, we had all those connections at top. Now we just got the Cisco software defined connecting to the VPC. It's all one plane for your global traffic, right? And from a security perspective, that's a lot easier to manage than to have 4 connections going back between the marketing and sales, marketing and engineering and sales, and engineering and marketing, right? So 2 is if any of those got misconfigured, that could be setting up to get hacked. But the part is this is still the telecoms, or you're going over internet to connect to the VPC, right? You still need that portion. The cool part about the core network, these are in different regions in different countries. All that traffic is going over AWS backbone network, right? So I'm sure they charge you a little bit for that connection, but it's all their network. You're gonna get super speed, super fast, right? So, but still from they call it the first mile from your office to AWS. That's still Cisco software defined network. What's up, Ty? Shout out to Snuggles. I see her always in these new YouTube streets. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute. I know Snuggles gonna come up. We're gonna chop it up. So that's really all I had. So I'm gonna talk about it a little more at a high level. I'm gonna drop the link. Like I said, from a cybersecurity perspective, we're just trying to get an understanding of Cisco. Try to say Cisco could be any traffic, but what does that look like from a national company? How would you configure it? How would you secure it, right? So we're going to go back to the original diagram I liked, which is here, right? So once again, that WAN, look at the bottom, North America, Europe, and Asia. From a cybersecurity perspective, privacy, if we're in Europe, we're talking about GDPR, right? A European privacy. That's going to be different in North America. And I think Facebook just got a fine because they were commingling the Europe database with the American database, right? So this will help you put a Europe database and have it connect to a North America database. You can have them sync up certain things on a tag, or what did you want to sync up in certain regions, right? So and 2 is, once again, that SD-WAN is software defined. We just looked at that. Cisco's using their Meraki technology because even though these are branches office, you got to connect to the Amazon data center. So either you're going to use VPC, you can use Direct Connect, you can do it over the internet, but you still have to do that first mile to get in Amazon VPC before you can get to the CloudWAN technology. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe for our brother. I appreciate that. So once again, the other one is a site to site. A lot of times, depending on your technology, once again, I do a ton of federal compliance, they always want you to do VPN site to site. That if you're going over the internet, they don't want anybody to be able to look at those packages or check any of those packages. Even though most people are going to be doing HTTPS, just in case that fail, the government wants you to be in a VPN tunnel, right? So that wouldn't fall off, right? So once you get in that VPN tunnel in North America and you get on the CloudWAN backbone, then you could get to the European resources in AWS, or I could get to the Asia resources, right? And each one of those countries have different compliances, especially for privacy, sometimes how you handle your data, and sometimes where you can keep your data, right? A lot of times when you're in Asia, right, you want to block that backbone for other backbones because some Asian countries be looking at all the encrypted traffic, and they might actually ask you for your keys so they can look at that traffic, right? When you go to China and do business, the government wants to be able to look at traffic, so you have to give them the keys so that government can look at that traffic, right? But the Asian traffic could have keys for them to unencrypt it. The traffic from Europe and North America could have a different key, so that traffic couldn't be viewed by that government, right? So that's one thing about routing and setting things up. So that's all I had today. Something short and sweet. Like I said, I need to get better at networking. Once again, I'm a security practitioner, and when I get in room with the Cisco guys, I got to be able to understand what they're saying, right? Or be able to make things that I think can be secure. We talked about split tunneling. That's a debate. Should all of it go through the VPN tunnel? If it's not secure, it can just go over the network. But as a security practitioner, I need to be able to say, okay, it needs to be in a VPN tunnel, or we could do split tunneling. Remember, there was 3 versions of those split tunnels, so we can look those up and offer those up for security assessments or other things the Cisco guys can do to help secure, right? Because a lot of things, if I tell them they can't do something, they're going to look at me and say, well, what can I do, right? If you're making me do a VPN tunnel, we ain't got enough VPN ports. Is there an alternative, right? That would be split tunneling, right? So we're just hitting it so we can understand different cybersecurity issues from a networking perspective, right? And this summer, in a couple months, we're actually going to set up our first AWS with basic, just doing something for availability in a region, right? Then we're going to do another one where we're going to set up for the nation, where we have an East Coast VPC and a West Coast VPC, and we'll put on a CloudWAN, control that traffic, right? So we can see it done and live and in live and in effect. So once again, that's all I got today. I just wanted to touch on VPC, once again, WAN, national companies. I know people want to work for big companies, big government. Arthur Anderson, PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is the stuff they're doing for a big organization, helping them set up their WAN, right? So, and 2 is, as a cybersecurity practitioner, one of the first things we got to understand is networking. Controlling your network, firewalls, security groups. We're in AWS, subnet groups who can get to what's subnets, right? That all plays together in moving traffic and locking that traffic down. So once again, that's all I got. I'll hang out and see if Snuggles gonna come up. I'm waiting for Snuggles. Sending a shout out to Snuggles. No, I know what Snuggles gonna do. She's my homie, so no, I always love, and I appreciate everybody for coming out. Once again, I'm gonna hang out and see if anybody comes up or drop any cybersecurity questions. Go subscribe to all my people in the box. Y'all see each other. There's a lot of great content creators out there. I always shout out B2B because I live on his I live on his YouTube channel. Shout out to B2B. Titanium Wealth Top Productions. Go check him out. Trying to get our wealth up. Trying to make a few moves. So once again, have a great weekend. The Monday's almost here, and I am tired. I don't want to go to work, but I'm in the middle of this big audit, so it's gonna be exciting in the big audit. So once again, have a great weekend. I'm just gonna hang on for a minute, and I'm going to jet and probably just relax a little bit and be like my homie Erica, start studying for one of my certs. I'm trying to catch up with her. She got all the certs, so shout out to her. She's also an educator, so go check her out and subscribe to her. join some of her classes and let her teach y'all some good stuff. Well, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna see everybody on these YouTube streets. Everybody have a great weekend. If you need me, just reach out to me. I know a couple people I need to get back out. Shout out to JM. I'm still working on these slides, so I can get them in the shared space. I got a lot on me, so that's like 12th on my list. That's like 12th on my list, but I'm gonna get to it. I'm out. Everybody have a great weekend and have a great week. Let's get it.